So Eisel Mazard, since then, has released several videos, okay? I'll flash the screenshots here real quick. Several videos about Norvegan and Hannah Chloe. Because Norvegan is now threatening to release every single correspondence between Eisel and himself. Norvegan's threatening to release all the emails between himself and Eisel Mazard. So Eisel preemptively decided to release some of his emails first, and the evidence is damning in here.
Last things first, this was an email from a couple of months ago when I was trying to put a positive end to a very negative situation with Norvegan, with Michael, when I assumed this was just going to be a private conversation between us, that he wasn't going to post the email publicly on the internet, which he threatened to do repeatedly and then finally promised to do decisively, that he was going to make all this public. So now I have to make it public too. At the stage of the conversation this email comes from, he's already said that I'm a narcissist and I'm a terrible human being in various ways. He's already publicly supported a video by Joe Best, a video that said I was a psychopath, and he was making comments generally in agreement with this, although not directly and specifically endorsing his theory. But it was, very hurtful, negative situation. And this is what I wrote to the guy. You will see the context for this if you watch the video as a whole. Michael, I'm sorry that you're hurt. I'm sorry that you feel that I didn't support you or didn't support Hannah when I made various videos that I thought were very supportive of both you and Hannah. I believed I was supporting Hannah's publicly stated position that there was no rape and that there should be no discussion of rape. You found that hurtful, and you expressed your rage and indignation to me after a very long pause, many months later, more than a year later, I think. I'm sorry if you really felt offended by my videos about Nina and Randa. I'm sorry that you didn't want to discuss any of these issues with me, but I understand that you're hurt by a great many things. I'm sorry that you feel all alone, and that nobody supports you, and that nobody understands you, and that nobody is trustworthy aside from Don Bauer, Carrie McCarpet, etc. The situation you're in, as you perceive it, and as you describe it yourself, is a very sorrowful one. I didn't want you to feel alone. I wanted you to feel that I was one of the people willing to listen, and that I was one of the people trying to support you. And you don't feel that way. That's okay. That's your decision. So this is an apology letter that I sent to him, despite the fact that he'd already said terrible things against me. He'd already gotten very angry and very upset, but I understand he's upset. I sent him this apology. One of Norvegan's main claims in proving that I'm a narcissist is that I didn't accept an apology he made to me, and that I didn't accept an apology from Joe Best at one point. Well, this is a real apology. I'm apologizing. I'm trying to make him feel better. I'm trying to put a positive conclusion to the situation. And how does he respond? He completely rejects the possibility that this is a sincere apology. He just dismisses this as a condescending email, when in fact there's absolutely nothing condescending about it, which is what I say to him in reply. There's absolutely nothing condescending about this email. Nothing.
So let's just get the backstory for you guys in case anybody is new to this drama and doesn't know the history. Back in summer of 2016, Durianrider accused Eisel Mazard of being a pedophile. Okay, since he has taken the statements down, I think they were like Facebook comments that he had made. He never gave an official apology, but he did take the statements down. He's retracted them. Eisel Mazard brought up criminal defamation charges against Harley. Yes, you can sue people criminally, not sue them. You can criminally charge somebody with defamation in Thailand. And all this has happened. Everything we're talking about in this video pretty much happened in Thailand. So after Harley had made these statements against Eisel, calling him a pedophile, falsely accusing him of pedophilia, Hannah Chloe, who was a community member in the vegan Thailand fruit cult community, she uploaded a video saying that Harley was actually guilty of the same thing that he was accusing Eisel of, because Harley was the one that was luring young vegan girls back to his apartment to fuck.
Michael, your case that Durianrider is a narcissist is a joke. You're dead wrong. You have no understanding of NPD, narcissistic personality disorder, as a real psychiatric condition. I don't think you've met and interviewed people with the condition. I don't think you've been through real psychiatric medical literature on it. You're not using formal diagnostic criteria or checklists, but also the way you just slander anyone who's your opponent in a debate by claiming they're a narcissist. Your claim that I'm a narcissist is based on two legs. It stands on two legs. One, that I respond to criticism poorly. And if that's true, okay, a lot of people respond to criticism poorly. And two, that I didn't accept your apology. Well, guess what, Michael? By those two criteria, you are a narcissist, Michael. You would have to condemn yourself much more harshly than you condemn me, because that was a great example of me sending you a sincere apology and trying to improve the situation, and you completely dismissing it. You responding in a manner that you would define as narcissistic yourself. I don't define it that way. I don't want to fall down this rabbit hole where everyone who disagrees with me or everyone who fails to take criticism well or, everyone who gets upset is a narcissist just for that reason. Michael, you need to take a long look in the mirror. You need to stop making these kinds of character assassinations against your fellow vegans on the internet.
This is super, super important information. Harley made a video where he admitted to having sex with Hannah Chloe. And he even went so far as to say that the very next day he had a sore pelvis. Everybody remembers the sore pelvis statement. So that's like the background information for you guys. Now, at the time, we don't know if Hannah Chloe was with Norvegan. We don't know if they were taking a break. Or maybe Norvegan was just interested in Hannah Chloe. It's hard to tell exactly when they started dating and when that relationship was actually a thing. It could have been after the summer of 2016. But to bring us up to the current time, Norvegan has come out with several hour-long documentaries about Harley that are titled Unmasking the Narcissist. He's been doing this for about the past year now, literally obsessing over Harley and Harley alone on his channel, trying to chase him off of the internet, okay?
This email is from me to Norvegan, and I would guess it was about a month earlier than the first emails I've shown to you in this video. Sorry, approximate date. It could be more than a month. I was trying to end what seemed to me a meaningless and hostile correspondence. I write to him saying, I said before, you destroyed Durianrider's life. You won. Start talking like a winner. Stop talking like a whiner. You're asking me to pity you while at the same time insulting me, etc. It's absurd. Now just pause here. Remember, there's no reason for me to be addressing Norvegan as a victim or pitying him or what have you. He was very much an aggressor in this situation. He was making a series of really shocking videos attacking Durianrider. And I'm telling him, you should start behaving like a winner. You should be a bit magnanimous like a winner. Stop talking like you're a loser in this situation. And like I said, I felt he was just putting me in an absurd situation where he's asking me to pity him while at the same time sending me these insults and saying I may be a narcissist and this kind of nonsense, right? I point out, when I showed you death threats that DR sent me, you laughed at them, and rightly so. Now you send me your own examples. He sent me examples of DR sending him death threats, and he was saying, how scared he is or how I should feel sorry for him. Now you send me your own examples asking me to pity you. Why? You really seem paranoid and insane in this correspondence. I have a typo there. I'm being sincere when I say that. That's really just how I felt about the email he was sending me at the time. Durianrider has nothing now. YouTube was his only source of income. The festival was his only source of pride. He lost everything, and he lost the trust of 99% of his friends, even Joey Carbstrong, etc. Now, as you can gather, I write this with real sympathy for the other side. Put yourself in Durianrider's shoes. Think about the position he's in, and think about how really inappropriate, Norvegan's behavior is. At least, well, in this case, I felt he was being inappropriate just in his private correspondence with myself. But I'm not faking here. That's really how I view the situation. Stop talking like a whiner. Start talking like a winner. Start being a bit magnanimous and honorable, given that you're the winner in the situation, and given that there really is a morally ambiguous, double-edged sword type of situation here, where you've destroyed a public figure's life and destroyed a public figure's credibility already. I continue, wake up, grow up, start acting like a man, direct and forthright. You're trading in innuendo to an absurd extent and pleading for pity when you're the winner. I've said before, I'm not a nice guy, This is definitely tough love. This isn't, unlike the email I showed at the very start of this video, well, it's definitely not being condescending. None of it is. This is really respecting him and treating him as the aggressor in his conflict with Durianrider, which he was. This email is actually prior to the one you just saw, and this just unpacks a little bit further what it is I was saying there, why that was so brief and so truncated. I had already written to him saying, quote, "Stop feeling sorry for yourself. You and I both did our part to destroy Durianrider's life, and it is destroyed. His career, his reputation, etc., destroyed. Is he guilty of rape? Not to my knowledge. Hannah told me directly that she had consensual sex with Durianrider. Stop feeling sorry for yourself. You just sent me a bullshit email insinuating that Durianrider is guilty of rape. There's no other sense in which you could possibly mean what you said. Hannah's video was deceptive and vague. It put DR in the position of telling the truth. That was a mistake on her part. Stop pretending that sex is irrelevant. Hannah's story with so many details, quote, he stroked my hair on the couch, etc., didn't accidentally omit that they had sex afterward. It was deceptive, and it made your side look bad, and then you said nothing for a year. Grow up, stop feeling sorry for yourself. You won, you destroyed his life. Is that what you wanted? Look at his situation in 2015 versus 2018. It's pathetic. Look at your own future by contrast. Need I say more? I can imagine how devastating this was to Durianrider, to all of his aspirations as a vegan activist, his aspirations as a career YouTuber, and everything else. This had a devastating effect on the other man, but I am not going to lie about what Hannah and Norvegan said to me about these rape allegations. And I'm not getting into this at length in this video. There are already 2 videos on this channel unpacking this issue, so you can take a look at those earlier videos if you don't know what I'm talking about here. But that goes through what I said, what I knew, what I didn't say, what I don't know, and why this is now public instead of being just private correspondence.
Then a few weeks ago, almost a month ago now, when Harley's channel went down, you guys remember this, Harley's channel went down for terms of service violations. Norvegan took credit for that, and the way that he did that was he posed in a video in front of the headquarters, of the YouTube headquarters in San Francisco. And he said, I'm here in San Francisco, I brought YouTube headquarters a list of all the bad things that Durianrider has done, and his channel is now down, you can't slander people, misleading his audience and alluding to the idea that he was the one that was responsible for Harley's channel being taken down. Then just about a week later, Harley's channel goes back up. So everybody's thinking, wow, like what's going on here, Norvegan? And if you look at Norvegan's video, mad dislikes, like way over 1,000 dislikes now. And personally, I think from the most part, Norvegan has been discredited. I don't think anybody really takes that dude seriously anymore. I think in the beginning, like maybe like last November, December, January, when his first couple of videos against Harley came out, people were like, oh yeah, you know, Norvegan's doing a good thing here, and he's taking on the big bad Harley Johnstone and trying to save veganism, right? But I think after all of this has been said and done, people realize that, you know, he's just another egomaniac that's trying to defend, you know, even as admirable as it is to defend yourself or defend your girlfriend, he's really just obsessed now.
Okay, guys, we're now going to go through a pretty long list of emails to myself and Norvegan as rapidly as possible. So you can pause to read everything that's on screen if you feel you have that level of interest. And on the other hand, you may want to skip over this or stop watching the video entirely. This sequence of emails will conclude with the apology that I posted as the very first email in this video. So in a sense, we're catching up to where we were at the beginning, or we started at the end. And you'll see, I mean, both he and I are upset in this correspondence. There's no doubt. I wouldn't deny that I'm upset, and I don't know if he'd deny that he was upset also. But I did have good intentions. I think that's going to be obvious to anyone reading this in a neutral and detached manner. And he can't see that at all. The same way he completely dismissed my apology as having ulterior motives, as being manipulative, as being insincere, as being something, you know. He has this really kind of paranoid mentality where no matter how I try to help, there's no placating him, there's no satisfying him. He responds to everything as having some other meaning than what is so plainly stated in simple English here. All right, so this email is me writing to him. This is the start of this sequence of emails. There are a few positive statements I can pick out and respond to, just a few. So that's saying, look, I'm going to ignore some of the insulting and negative stuff you've sent me. I'm going to try to build on what's positive in the email correspondence up to this point. Okay? You've sent me an extremely insulting and demeaning message. If you can't recognize that, you're really out of touch with reality. You claim that you're offended by what I said about Nina and Randa. Caveat, I don't know if you've really seen the videos concerned. I doubt it. That's being sincere. I just don't think he ever watched the videos. He heard something that somebody else said about them, but what he said about the videos just did not sound like he knew what my argument actually was, or what I actually said, or why. What you've just written to me, Michael, really is more demeaning. You're maligning my character, psychologically, personally, etc., and you're reading things into my intentions, actions, words, etc., that are profoundly disturbing as well as insulting. And yes, to a much lesser extent, you have been doing this in public YouTube comment sections. Why do you think my commentary on Nina and Randa is so harmful, whereas your suggestion that I'm a narcissist is not? My depiction of Nina and Randa, very clearly explained and justified directly in reference to their own video content, is serving a very clear political purpose in the videos concerned. For example, the title of one of them is Stop Treating Women Like Infants. A very clear feminist message, actually. Again, that's a video about Nina and Randa on my channel. I'm not embarrassed by it, Whereas your depiction of me is damning and appeals to private information about me, etc., and it is only damning. You went in the comment section to blacken my character with no other redeeming purpose or objective, and you know this. What you've said against me, privately and publicly, doesn't help the vegan movement, and it doesn't help anything. It isn't about veganism, feminism, or anything else. It is just character assassination from your perspective as someone who made a so-called documentary about me, who spoke with me privately, etc. And if you're really so sensitive that you're offended by my critique of Nina and Randa, why can't you see this as problematic? Okay? I then quote him from an earlier email. He wrote, "What do you want me to do, Eisel? I'm happy to fix this and be on good terms again. I really do appreciate that sentiment and stated intention, Michael. And I wish you had written an email with this as the primary thesis." So I am thanking him for this. I'm saying, I appreciate this. Maybe we can build on this. But obviously he's been writing a lot of negative and insulting stuff to me. I also think you should practice asking questions instead of making accusations, because you have made many, many ludicrous accusations in this message, and any of them could have just been questions. Regarding, quote, do you want me to make a video, show the comments that I made, say that I was out of line, that comments like these damage reputations and hurt people, that this was wrong of me, and I don't want to be that person, and I, of course, retract everything I said. So, again, I don't know if this was sincere on his part, but I treated it as sincere. So, wow, he's offering to make a video apologizing for his comments against me. But I say back, no, that's not necessary. I'm just trying to calm you down and make you feel better. So, again, I don't know whether or not his intentions were ever genuine, because this disappears really quickly thereafter in the conversation. But I write back, my understanding of the current situation is that you still seem to be genuinely confused about the things you're upset about, things that you're accusing me of, etc. So you'd probably be better off addressing or discussing those issues with me and actually feeling better about the situation. So in case you didn't catch what just happened there in those two paragraphs, he offered to make a public apology on YouTube to say that he was in the wrong and that this damages my reputations and hurts me. And I say back, look, I think the real problem here is just that you're upset, you're confused, and I'm trying to make you feel better. So maybe we should, talk on Skype, maybe we should address this problem, etc. Okay? I go on to say, if you actually believe that I'm such a terrible person, you believe these crazy theories about my tactics in making that video about Joe Best, if you believe you've seen through my tactics, as you say, to something hidden and terrible beneath, a whole line of reasoning on your part that seems paranoid and insane from my perspective, then you should talk to me about these issues. So again, I'm being very positive in response to a very negative situation. Oh, right, and there in all caps I say, you should not publicly blacken my character about them, you ass. If I offered to talk to you on Skype, the call could be 100% private, or we could use portions as a podcast or video. Your choice, always let my guests censor or request deletions. But I have to ask, for example, 1, do you actually have any interest in discussing the Nina and Randa videos with me? Your claim that I became angry at you about this is really false. I went back and reread the messages. I went back and reread the earlier emails we had that he's alluding to. I can resend them if you like. It would also seem false to say that you were angry at me about it. It was mentioned, the Nina and Randa video, it was just mentioned, and then you became upset about rape. which is very easy to understand. It seemed to me entirely obvious that you were not really interested in talking about Nina and Rand at all. It came up, but you didn't reply with any interest when I indicated that you should watch the actual videos concerned and discuss with me if you were interested. I still don't think you've seen those 2 videos, one of which has "Stop Treating Women Like Infants" in the title. I give a link. It just isn't true that we had any sort of discussion about this. You mentioned it, and I indicated in reply that we could discuss it further if you wanted to, if you watched the actual videos concerned about Nina and Randa, and then you became upset about rape versus non-rape. The latter, again, is understandable. I can completely understand why you were so upset, and thus I made a huge effort to address your concerns, although you were a complete asshole toward me. What is not understandable is why you'd now be defaming me in YouTube comment sections in the way that you are. I made a huge effort to patch things up with you and Hannah in the context of you being extremely unreasonable. Again, I can understand why this is upsetting for you, but ...
So that's what, that brings us up to this current moment, okay? Now, when Norvegan had uploaded that video, taking credit for Harley's channel being taken down, and before Harley's channel went back up, Eisel put out a video that we missed over here on this channel. And he had suggested that maybe Norvegan was lying, that maybe Norvegan was not telling the truth, and that he was trying to take credit for Harley's channel being taken down to build himself up and to make himself more credible in the eyes of the vegan community. Now, Norvegan did not like that, and that's when this story just blows up today. This shit is crazy, man. If you had told me back in 2016, summer 2016, that this shit was all going to come to a head to this very point in time right now, oh man, you could not have predicted it. I wouldn't have believed it. I wouldn't have believed it. It only happens on YouTube. This shit you cannot make up in a book. It only happens in vegan YouTube.
Number 2, your sole justification for your behavior is an ESL misinterpretation of the words affair and fuck. It's an English as a second language problem. English is not his first language. You're 100% wrong about this. In English, we use the word affair to just mean situation, normally a complex situation or series of events. Thus, I say things like, your conduct in this affair. I understand that English is your second language, but you misinterpreted the word to a bizarre extent. The word fuck is extremely vague in English. It actually can be used to describe rape, not only consensual sex, and again, you've ascribed a meaning to it that the word just doesn't hold. However, even if you were reasonable in your reading of these words, and you are not, you're 100% wrong on these 2 words, how could it possibly be reasonable for you to disregard the pages and pages of effort I made to resolve this issue with you and with Hannah? How could it be reasonable for you to disregard the months of positive correspondence we had before that? You know, if you're offended by something I've said in email, okay, my heart goes out to you, but why are you making an enemy out of me? I've been supportive. I've been trying to be your friend. You know, just be reasonable. Just be a mensch. Right now, in the contents of this message, if I did use the word affair and fucked incorrectly in the past, why can't you recognize my efforts to really communicate with you since then and to address your concerns? Now, look, I'm not adding on any psychological character assassination here, but you tell me, I don't know, maybe the problem really is that Norvegan is a narcissist. Maybe he's the one who has MPD. Why is it impossible for him to be reasonable? You know, even if I'm an imperfect human being, even if I'm a terrible human being, just be reasonable with me. How could it be reasonable for you to say, in effect, quote, you use the word affair, defined in the dictionary as 1, an event or sequence of events of a specified kind that I previously referred to, and you use the word fuck, therefore you're supporting Durianrider's version of events, and I'm going to treat you as an enemy despite all of your attempts to do my own. How is that reasonable? How? Can you or can you not see the purpose of my prior correspondence? You now complain in a paranoid manner that I wrote to Hannah after you told me not to, but look at the positive intent and content of those messages. It is very, very clear that I was trying to be your ally and supporter, despite the fact that you've been a complete asshole toward me. Why is it so hard for you to appreciate that? Number 3, much more briefly, I'd mentioned in parallel that I think you have no sincere interest in discussing my 2-year-plus personal history with Joe Best. I'm completely open to discussing these things with you. I could do a podcast with you on Nina and Randa. I could do a podcast with you on Joe Best, etc. But my impression is that you raise both examples just to throw them in my face as a reproach and to back up your portrait of me as a terrible person, possibly a narcissist, etc., and that you have zero interest in discussing the videos involved or the events involved, etc. And this is understandable because it isn't very interesting. So look, guys, I'm partly saying this is understandable because it isn't very interesting, but the truth is this is really low and mean and awful. You can't go around psychologically judging people while having no sincere interest in what actually happened and why, what their motives were, what their conduct was. So what, you think I'm a villain because of something I said to Nina and Miranda, you don't even know what I said. You think I'm a villain because of Joe Best's incredibly skewed version of events, incredibly dishonest attempts to pillory me on the internet, which has gone on for more than 2 years. He has more than a 2-year track record on that, and my track record is a real contrast if you even just watch the videos, let alone ask me about it. So again, sympathy is an analytical tool, and psychological diagnoses are meant to help people, not to hurt people. If you're interested in making a psychological diagnosis, make sure you're doing it in order to help someone and not to try to just harm them, defame them publicly, or destroy their lives. If you really think there's something psychologically wrong with me because of my interactions with Joe Best, I think just watching the videos on my channel about that is enough counter evidence. But okay, so what, are you trying to help? Like, what, you really you think I have a psychological problem, and that's why I had this problem with Joe Best? It's not all the things Joe Best did wrong that he himself has recognized and apologized for. Joe Best knows he was in the wrong on a whole bunch of issues. Come on, let's get real here. All right, number 4. Look, I'm happy to delete the comment, edit and retract the statements. He says, and I say, okay, go ahead and delete the comment, but please consider my invitation to talk via Skype. We can talk 100% privately, or you can decide afterward what percentage of the recording you'd like to make public. Again, I have to urge you to practice asking questions instead of making accusations. Do you actually have a question about my history with Joe Best? I doubt it. It isn't that interesting. Why not ask me a question instead of spinning out these bizarre interpretations that seem to serve no purpose aside from blackening my character and justifying your already stated insults against me?
So Eisel accused or suggested that Norvegan was possibly being deceptive and was lying. Norvegan didn't like that. So Norvegan emailed Eisel. This is what Eisel is saying the last couple of days on his channel. He uploaded a video entitled, "I'm sorry" to Norvegan. And it was one of these half-ass apology videos that Eisel is known for. He's done one for Freely, he's done one for Harley, where he just basically gets on camera. He's like, "I'm sorry if I made you feel this way, and I'm sorry that you're offended here," right? And he doesn't actually take back anything he says or whatever, or actually try to make an apology. He just names the video, "My apology," and it's not an apology. Which is fair enough. It's funny as fuck, don't get me wrong. The way Eisel trolls that shit is hilarious. But Norvegan demanded an apology from Eisel. Because and what Eisel says is that Norvegan admitted to Eisel in an email, and Eisel has shown the receipts for this. In an email, Norvegan admitted that he was just trolling. He says, "Well, I didn't lie, Eisel. I don't want people thinking I'm a liar. Please take it back that I lied. Please make an apology video." Because he wants to be credible with the vegans on YouTube. He wants to be credible in this community. He doesn't want anybody, God forbid, anybody finds out that he's just another narcissistic, egomaniac, fame whore, just trying to make content and videos that mad people are going to watch so he can gain some kind of credibility online within vegan YouTube, right? God forbid he actually gets exposed, as if that's the worst thing in the world.
5, you open this discussion with the claim that I don't respond well to criticism. Have you watched this 47-minute long video responding to criticism? This video is not unique on my channel. I actively seek out and reward intelligent criticism, and you can tell that I'm laughing and responding in a relaxed way most of the time, even when my critics are really very insulting. But look, again, why would you judge someone as a narcissist because they don't cope well with criticism? A lot of people don't. Now, I don't actually think that's true of me. I think there's a lot of evidence, even on my YouTube channel, of how well I respond to criticism. But if I'm a narcissist just for these 2 reasons that he's presenting, one being that I don't respond well to criticism, and the other being that I didn't accept his apology, well then guess what, Norvegan, you're a narcissist. You're a much worse narcissist because it's obvious you don't cope well with criticism, and you rejected my apologies again and again. That's happened repeatedly, and when they were sincere and well-intentioned apologies. All right, number 6, what you've said about me publicly consists of lies. Shame on you. This email you sent me is really extremely insulting and demeaning. I've tried to pick out a few parts that were slightly positive to respond to here, but I've never said anything so demeaning about Nina and Miranda as what you're saying about me now. And the critique I did present to Nina and Miranda served a real purpose. Your critique of me didn't.
But Norvegan demanded the apology from Eisel and admitted that he was trolling, that he really didn't have anything to do with Harley's channel being taken down. So that's been exposed. And that's another reason I think Norvegan's starting to really lose a lot of credibility. Not for the fact that Harley's channel did go back up, but also that he's now admitted to Eisel. And Eisel spilled the beans on this, that Norvegan was just trolling when he said he took down Harley's channel. So Eisel Mazard, since then, has released several videos, okay? I'll flash the screenshots here real quick. Several videos about Norvegan and Hannah Chloe. Because Norvegan is now threatening to release every single correspondence between Eisel and himself. Norvegan's threatening to release all the emails between himself and Eisel Mazard. So Eisel preemptively decided to release some of his emails first, and the evidence is damning in here.
This is just a comment on Charles's video, Charles Marlowe's video. Someone commented, the word narcissist has now become the equivalent of what racist is in the political world. It's lost all its meaning. I think I actually put this in here by accident, but hey, it can stay. All right. I'm running out of patience here, he writes back. So he throws away everything positive about that. He completely rejects the possibility of having a Skype call with me. Obviously, the possibility that he would actually, apologize or retract his comments is gone now too, for whatever reason. I reply to that saying, I invited you to talk on Skype. I think that part of the email was really clear. If you think you've lost patience, you should really make the effort to imagine how I must feel. That's the most basic thing that sympathy requires, imagining how the other person must feel. I lost patience with you a long time ago, Michael. I don't want to talk to you, but I'm offering to do so, and I'm offering to do so for good reasons. I don't see any good reasons in anything you've said or done. And this reply of yours is shit. It just makes me think you're a shitty person. That's honest enough. You can go back and pause it and read that reply. Very disappointing compared to the level I was putting in to try to settle this dispute. He replies back, I don't want to talk to you either, so it should just end there. Well, okay, but it didn't just end there, did it? You sent me all kinds of bullying, threatening emails and said you'd make all this correspondence public, so now it's public. You created a conflict where there is no reason for conflict. And he says, maybe I should have just listened when you said you're not a good person. I don't know, guys. So look, pause if you want to read every word of this. I'm just trying to reiterate that I had good intentions. And I said, well, okay, if we can't move forward with me actually making you feel better, which I offered to do by Skype, if I can't actually address the conflict, then we can go back to your suggestion, which was that you'd actually delete your comments and make a public apology. That was what he offered. My counteroffer was, well, why don't we just have a private conversation and try to make you feel better? But okay, if you now don't want to do that, we can go back to option A. Now he writes back saying, I don't negotiate with terrorists, blah, blah, blah. I'm such a terrible person. And you see at the bottom it says, no apology for you. Okay, so you see what kind of human being you're dealing with. Probably his offer to apologize to me was always insincere, but I treated it as sincere because I'm writing him with really good intentions. And I have to assume the other person I'm talking to has good intentions also. Pause if you want to read every word of this. My reply regarding, quote, I don't negotiate with terrorists. Michael, I made a positive offer to talk to you on Skype to resolve anything and everything you're upset about, privately or publicly. You can talk about Nina and Randa or whatever's on your mind. You refused. I said, therefore, okay, we can do your suggestion instead. It was your suggestion from your prior message. And now you want to act as if I'm forcing you to do something you don't want to do. I just said, okay, we can go back to your former offer, blah, blah, blah. Grow up. You are really creating drama and conflict out of a situation that need not contain any drama or conflict. And you've really shown just how hollow your apology was. He never made it, he just offered to make, he promised to make an apology. Gad, what a sack of shit you are, man. I don't know, antics ensue. You can pause if you want to read every sentence of this. Yeah, I don't see anything here that's really worth commenting about. By all means, hit pause if you want to. Yeah, okay, this too. I mean, again, I'm being sincere here. His writing to me seems to me really paranoid. And he's always ascribing bad intentions to me and hidden meanings to what I'm saying. This sounds a lot like his own theory of projection that he says about Durianrider. But I mean, come on, man. Moving ahead, hit pause if you want to read every word of this. I don't think anyone possibly could. I'm just looking it over again now. Why do you behave as if I've got some sort of strategy to destroy you or harm you? Just why? You interpret a very simple situation in an absurdly paranoid manner. You interpret it as if I'm trying to destroy you. I just offered to have a Skype conversation with him to make him feel better. regardless of whether or not I'm in the wrong or he's in the wrong or we're both in the wrong, just trying to patch things up, do something positive, just trying to help, okay? He writes back, again, he's just trying to escalate the hostility of the situation, not de-escalate it. You can read this if you want to. He's just saying, yeah, well, everybody else has a problem with you, so as if his crappy behavior is justified by this fact. Again, I'm just saying, look, you were an asshole towards me. I'm trying to make the situation better. Whatever it was that upsetting to you, I offered to talk about. I replied by saying, well, you're upset about something, so why don't you just talk to me in order to resolve it, make yourself feel better, put things on a better footing. And he's incapable of responding positively to this stuff. He writes back to me and he asks, is he the only one who's insane or paranoid, or is it everyone else? And I write back to him honestly saying, no, Michael, it's just you. You're the only one. I've never had to deal with anyone like you before. He writes back again saying that somehow other people's opinions of me are definitive. I write back again saying, I've answered your question, Michael. I've interacted with hundreds and hundreds of people. I've worked in many diverse settings. You've seen my CV, and so you know to some extent. My answer to your question is no. I've never had to deal with someone who has your type of paranoid behavior. Nobody else behaves in the way that you do. He is just, again, trying to escalate the situation. You can tell I'm trying to end the situation. I'm trying to end this conversation, trying to end it positively. He's only trying to pick a fight. He's only trying to escalate it, and he's refused my offer to talk on Skype or do something positive or address any of his concerns, whether it's about Nina and Randa or whether it's about Durianrider or anything else. He's just trying to make things worse. And now we are back to the start of this sad story where I write this apology saying, Michael, I'm sorry you were hurt. I'm sorry you feel. That's the context for this. I sent him this really positive, really conciliatory, really apologetic message in the midst of this awful bullying, harassing situation he sent all this crap to me in. And if you watch this video from start to end, this is the video that I posted at the very beginning. If you skip that part, hit pause now and read it. But there is just no satisfying some people. He writes back dismissing this as condescending. I just write back reiterating that there's absolutely nothing condescending about it whatsoever. And I thought that was the end of my colorful correspondence with Norvegan. But no, the guy had to pick a fight with me again and again.
I mean, this shit is so messy. It's so crazy. It's so all over the place, okay? It's the most insane fucking vegan drama shit that I think we've ever seen. If they do bring fake rape allegations up against Durianrider, I'm imagining just from like what Eisel is saying on his channel is that he would actually defend Harley 100% against fake rape allegations, okay? Even though Harley was the one that accused Eisel of being a pedophile. So when all this is said and done, okay, it's just crazy how maybe Eisel and Durianrider might actually end up being some sort of like mutual alliance there against the defamation and the slander in the vegan community.
Hey, what's up everyone? Today I want to talk about there are 3 different types of people, of what people talk about. And number 1, let's start at the bottom. Number 1, there's people that talk about gossip, right? They talk about other people. They're just gossip queens. So all they do is talk about other people. That's basically what their life is based on, is they have nothing else better to talk about than other people. Just gossip queens. Then you have people that just talk about things, cars, motorcycles, just useless things. That's, their main conversation piece is things. Now, number 3, and this is the category I put myself in, is people that talk about ideas. Their brain is constantly working on new concepts, possibly new business ideas, ways to make money. We're talking about new things. You follow me? So we got the gossipers, people that talk about things, and gossipers basically is, where let's say you're with a buddy and you're out to lunch, you're like, hey bro, dude, I got this fucking incredible business idea. Oh my God. So what I'm gonna do is, and you start telling business idea, and he's like, oh dude, check out on Facebook. Look what so-and-so is doing on Facebook. And you're like, that's what your life consists of, talking about fucking Facebook? I mean, that's an example of a gossiper. Now, so these 3 types of people: gossip, people that talk about things, and people that talk about ideas.
À-bas-le-ciel.